Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back. And what are we getting into? We're getting into Love Island All Stars episode 20 and 21. 20 is the best bits, the unseen bits. We don't chat about those, but we'll be getting into episode 21, which brought us the PDA awards. Yeah, brought out a lot of shit that we need to talk about, did it not? Anyway, before we get into it, as I always say, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so when you know I'm on it and doing videos. And let's get into this video, shall we? I want to say some people really judge S. They forget that they're on film. Like, they forget that the cameras are following them about, and us, the general public, get to see whatever fodder they decide to put out. So Callum is having a chat and he's saying that you're like talking about the discussion that he had with Georgia S. I can't remember who he was talking to, but he was basically saying that she's turning around and saying to him that she's so confused and yada yada yada. And I'm like, I'm glad Callum is now seeing the light that Georgia S was not for him. Georgia S was not about him. Georgia S will never be about him. Georgia S was either fully about herself or fully for Toby. That's where Georgia S was at the end of the day. So Georgia S is sitting there with some of the girls, and you can tell who give her the time of day and they keep either answering for her or giving her reasons as to why she's writing what she's doing, when you know that she's not writing what she's doing at all. She is not writing what she's doing, but because there's no evidence yet to show you people exactly who Georgia S is and the character that she is, yeah, this is why you keep putting words all over this girl like she's the innocent, hard done by party. She is not innocent by any long shot. She is not innocent at the end of the day. She's turning around talking about how her feelings still go deep with Toby, and this is the point where Georgia S is getting the heat. She's getting the heat and she's feeling it, but my girl is trying like a good one to spin this shit to her narrative, and she manages to, with the girls that she's sitting with, she manages to make herself look like the innocent party, because she's sitting there saying that someone I have deep history with, I'm gonna hear them out. She was basically saying maybe it was too soon for her in regards to Callum, and then she starts then she starts to cry. How can someone cry? How can someone cry when there's no tears falling from your face? No tear. I'm like, is this Oscar worthy? Is this really Oscar worthy? I'm telling you, this girl loves this attention. She loves it so much. She craves it, absolutely craves it. And if people don't get that after they've watched this episode, then I don't know how you're not gonna get it, because this girl, there's something, yeah, there's some kind of imbalance going on with this girl. Seriously. So Sophie asks Georgia S, so do you feel like you should be running towards Callum or Toby? Georgia S basically, I think, takes the easy way out of that question and says maybe I should sit it out and think about what's going on. I'm like, Georgia, yeah, you know we all seen you and the pattern and the blase shit you were doing with Callum. 1 minute you told that man on multiple occasions that it was done between you and Toby. You even went to Toby yourself to tell him it was done. Do you know what I mean? To tell him it was done. Then you told Callum again that you only had eyes for him, that you were so glad being in the hideaway with him, and he was the only one you wanted. And now you can't decide. Georgia S needs to catch a clue. She really needs to catch a clue, because she's not getting it at all. Like, seriously not getting it at all. So then Georgia H gives her the out that she's looking for by saying that Georgia S is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I said, I don't understand why people keep giving this girl a blight, why people keep giving this girl so much flipping grace when she's caused the most issues in this place. Like, honestly caused the most issues in this place. Everything that has been drama filled, yeah, has always had Georgia S's stamp on it. But yet people seem to always continue to give her a blight. Lord of mercy. Anyway, we shall continue. So Callum is talking to Anton and Tom, and basically Callum is saying it's like we've jumped into the Georgia S show. And I'm like, yeah, you totally have. And what I've been saying past episodes before, he brings out that she accepts no responsibility for her actions. She doesn't, because she thinks she's in the right. She thinks she's right and all of you are wrong. So every time someone brings up a negative, she's always going to have an answer to it. Always going to have an answer to it. And this showed through the PDAs, even though it was on screen, with her murky, dirky ways, she still tried to spin her way out of it. And then you see Joanna and Kaz having a chat with Toby, and basically Toby telling them about Callum and his discussion with Callum. And Kaz is kind of thinking, why is everyone acting like someone can't care about two people? And Toby was basically saying, taking the fault away from Georgia S, saying, well, yeah, because I chose her. And I'm just like, you're like giving that girl too much grace. Like, seriously, giving that girl too much grace. And she's a slidey boy. She's a proper slidey boy, and you're giving her way too much grace. Yes, you can care about two people at the same time, but don't carry on like a fucking Georgia S, is what we're saying. She accepts no responsibility for the harm that she's caused to people, like seriously caused to people, and the shit that she's put them through. I don't even know if Georgia S knows what the hell she wants anyway. I don't know if she knows what the hell she wants, because her behaviour shows something completely and utterly different. And I'm just like, sometimes within this villa, I think I lose some brain cells watching this show, because they make no sense for real. Like, some of these chats that some of these people have make no sense to me at all. Some of the things that some of these people do make no sense to me at all. It makes no sense to me at all. So that's why I always get the view that majority of these people that go on these shows are literally just looking to promote their name, to get a little bit of fame, and hopefully see if someone can pick them up, either to be some epic master influencer or something like that, or just something, because it's just weird. It's weird that you put yourself back into this situation again. Like, seriously, put yourself back into this situation again and say that you've changed, when actuality you haven't changed. You're still acting the same way that you did in your old seasons. Makes no sense to me. Makes no, and each time, even though I get a little bit more invested, yeah, each time I feel like I'm losing brain cells just by listening to them sometimes. See, and my thing also with the Kaz and Casey scenario, yeah, but he couldn't pick Molly because Tom was with Molly, and already Molly said it would give her the fucking weird vibe ick factor, and the same with Casey. And he definitely weren't going to go pick George H, because that was his only options at that point in time, because he didn't really have chance to talk to nobody else and actually make any type of connection with nobody else. The only other person he spoke to was Kaz, and that is the only reason why he picked Kaz. Because yes, it was great at the beginning that someone picked Kaz at last, but again, it's about a friendship vibe. You're not in there to have a friendship with someone. Well, you can have a friendship with someone, but you really don't want to be pairing with someone that you know you're just going to be friends with. So Casey doing that was just pointless. But he was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, because he weren't picking Molly, and he sure as hell weren't picking Georgia H at the end of the day. You see Toby and Georgia S having a chat. Georgia S, of course, is upset, and Toby's trying to comfort her. So he asks her, what are you grateful for? The first things out of this girl's mouth was her natural long hair. He said, what else? She goes with her eyes. Her family came in third. Toby came in kind of like an afterthought. And then she said her friends and her cat. I'm just like, if this doesn't tell you about this girl, I don't know what will, to be fair. Someone asked you, what are you grateful for? And instead of saying something completely different, she talks about her physical attributes of what she's grateful for. And then, of course, Toby then has to bring up the fact that she went in a relationship with a guy, as in Callum, and Arabella wasn't his girlfriend. So again, someone else placating to her feels, someone else trying to tell her she's in the right, in doing what she's doing right now. But people don't realise the fuck shit that she did with Callum. This girl tried to mess with this boy's mind royally. Even got to the point of this man going to lock himself off with her. At the end of the day, what Georgia S is not realising, that he was in a long-term relationship, all living with the girl. And you know it was Molly. All living with Molly, in a long-term relationship with her. And they'd only split up for 6 months before he came back into that villa. Then he really wanted to try again with Molly, but it just didn't work out for them. Why didn't it work out for them? Because Georgia S got in the motherfucking way. That's why as well. Georgia S got in the way too. I think naturally, left to their own devices, Molly and Callum may have, you know, tried to get back together again in that sense. But yeah, Callum was in there looking for something long term. He weren't looking for no short term plaything. He was looking for something long term. And Georgia S mind fucked him. That's what she did. She mind fucked the hell out of Callum. And that's what people are not getting in this place. Each time they give this girl grace, each time they give this girl a blight, she's going to turn around and put a 10-inch knife in your back. Because she was playing with Callum's emotions. And I'm sorry, people don't seem to get that in the slightest. They don't seem to get it. She was raw digging that man's emotions out. And then we get to Joanna and Josh. Now, bearing in mind, yeah, Josh did say to Sophie that if Joanna tried to pull him for any chats or anything like that, he would be locking that off and he would not show any interest. But we all know he said that because Joanna didn't pick him in the first instance and he was slightly miffed and slightly angry. So he went down the path of going with what Sophie wanted. Don't do that. Because Josh knew he was not going to keep that promise to Sophie. He knew he wasn't. Especially when he found out within this conversation that Joanna actually was feeling him at the end of the day. And she was confused. And it was like a 50-50 chance of who she would go with. But she decided to go for Chris because she thought Josh and Sophie was more in a compatible couple in that sense. So that tipped it in terms of her going for Chris. Then she sits there and talks about Chris. And I'm like, why are you chatting Chris for? At the end of the day, if you two are having a conversation, you don't need to bring Chris into that conversation. Whatever you chat with or do with Chris has got nothing to do with Josh and vice versa. I don't like it when people do that, the comparison shit. I really don't like it. So Josh is there saying that, yes, he's energy on Sophie, yeah, but if she wants to pull him for a chat, he's not going to say no. That's completely different from what you said to Sophie, my guy. Especially with what Sophie relayed in the girls' cocktail hour when they all went out. And Sophie made sure she relayed that to Joanna to understand that this is what Josh is saying to me. Do you know what I mean? So expecting that when Joanna did pull him for a chat or any kind of chat, Josh would relay that same information to Joanna, but he didn't. He didn't, and he was a prick for that. Like a full-on prick for that. But this is what I said already. I already said. When he kept on saying, oh, look, it was a test and his head wouldn't get turned. His head was already turned. Josh's head was already turned because his sights was set on Joanna. Sophie was an afterthought. Yeah? And this is why I said Sophie locked herself off too early to this man. Too early to this man. I don't understand if these guys or these girls are not giving you a significant amount of opening in regards to being true to their feelings. Not Georgia S true, because she's just a liar and a half. She's just an emotional manipulator, is Georgia S. But true to your feelings and you're seeing that in their actions, that's when you know, okay, we can move accordingly with each other. Until you've seen that, why the fuck are you locking yourself off to these people? I don't get it. I don't get it. And then expecting them to follow through on what they say. This is Love Island. This is Love Island. Come on now. Come on. You got Sophie doing the rounds with Josh, trying to find out what his chat was about with Joanna. Josh was not giving her nothing. He just said it was a chat. And I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. Man can't even be honest to your face. So how do you think he's going to be honest behind your back? Like, seriously, how do you honestly think he's going to be honest behind your back? And because she didn't get the answers, because I see it through the saw it through the rest of the episode, because Sophie didn't get her answers of what she wanted from Josh, she went directly to Joanna and asked her. And I'm like, if you have to go that far in order to ask somebody else about the motives of the man that you're with, then that tells me you don't trust them. That tells me you have no relationship with them, because without trust, you ain't got nothing. At the end of the day, if you were not set or happy in regards to what Josh had told you, and in regards to what you had seen, that you literally had to creep around and go speak to Joanna, you might as well cut that relationship dead dessa, because it ain't gonna work. Flipping back to the Callum, Georgia S, Toby, Arabella situation. You know, Callum and Arabella are sharing a bed together because they're a couple, but they're just friends, man. They're just laughing and shit like that. So then you see, as the lights go out, yeah, under the covert of darkness, Georgia S and Toby are close. And Toby is literally kissing that girl's, well, not kissing her lips, but kissing her neck and everything like that, and huggy. So Callum is basically saying that he's over it, but he ain't. Callum ain't over it, because if he was over it, he would have showed indifference. He would not talk to her, he would not speak about her, he would not think about her in that sense. But he's hurt. Callum is totally hurt by the actions of Georgia S, but he refuses to show it. He refuses to show it, because I think Callum will probably view that for himself as a bit of a weakness if he showed how much he was hurt by the actions of Georgia S. But then Georgia S would lap that shit up. She would lap up the fact that she managed to hurt this man. This is why I told her, this is why I kept saying Georgia S didn't want Callum. Georgia S did not want Callum. She did the whole long game waiting for Toby. She didn't want Callum. And she knew exactly what she was doing when she had that conversation with him just before the vote in terms of the recoupling. She knew what she was doing. She knew. And then the whole place wakes up to the next morning, and all I can say, it just looked tension-filled and hella awkward at the end of the day. So basically, Callum is saying he's done with Georgia S completely. He don't want nothing more to do with her at all. Georgia S is there saying that what happened in the bedroom with how Callum was makes her want to take a step away from Callum. You was never interested in Callum in the first place, Georgia S. Let's just put that out there. You was never interested in that man in the first place. Yeah, so it's easy for you to literally cut your shit off because you don't really care. You never really cared. It was just a game. That's how it was. It was just a game to Georgia S. So basically, Toby's talking about his main concern is about, for him and Georgia S, it's the fallout from everyone in the villa. And they're telling him, don't concentrate on that. And I'm just like, well, it ain't going to go away. At the end of the day, you're both caught into a confined space. Georgia S has done some fuck shit. She is a liar. She's a top-notch liar, but a liar nonetheless at the end of the day. And that's going to come out. That is going to come out. And you do see, and we'll get there, Toby defending Georgia S at times, like proper defending Georgia S at times, because at the end of the day, that's his girl. He's going to step up to the plate and defend her. No matter that he is going down on a sinking ship, he's going to stand on that helm and defend her till his last dying breath is Toby. She don't deserve it. I'm sorry, she really don't. Georgia S don't deserve it, and she gets it. And what she gets is what was coming to her at the end of the day. The ancestor spoke. Georgia S don't deserve people batting for her like that. Really does not, because she made her bed. She's got a light in it. She dug that hole. Now she's got to try and dig herself out of it, which she tries to do. Then you see Georgia H talking about Anton, about how now Anton has a quality she wants in a man, and she's now decided that she wants it in her life. It took Casey shutting the door on her for her wanting a clean slate. I'm sorry. I think that's what's called settling. I think that is what's called settling. I just, because some of the actions between Anton and Georgia H, especially to Georgia H towards Anton, does not instill me with this. She finds him attractive. She finds him sexually attractive. Yes, she talks about the ick at the PDA wars and says that's no longer the issue now. And she can talk a good game. Georgia H can talk a good game, but it's your actions that are speaking louder than what your mouth is saying at this moment in time. And even when she was on the daybed and they were having their meditation session and Anton wanted it about love, so she was saying, okay, we'll do the one and open the heart chakras and all, yada yada yada. And then Anton was literally looking at her after they were talking, really looking at her as if to say, I want to kiss, like lean forward, so because I want to kiss, but he didn't want to ask her. So then it happened, and even that was awkward. I'm sorry, it was awkward. And I really don't think Georgia H wants him. I don't think Georgia H wants him, but she knows that Anton's going to always be consistent. I kind of hope it works out for him, but I don't know. I really don't know. It could be that saying, you know, nice guys finish last. But I really do think Anton's flogging a dead horse there, to be fair. Now, we come to the pièce de résistance. The PDA Awards. My God, was it good? My God, did it just show things that needed to be shown? And you know what? Thank you, public. Thank you to those who voted, because Georgia S needed to be outed. Georgia S needed to be outed. People really needed to see what really was going on in these chats and on these shit, to be fair. So it was 6 categories. So the winner accepts an award and gives a speech. And I'm like, Georgia S can't stop talking. She couldn't stop talking through all because she was kind of buzzing. When Callum called her out, before the PDA started, just after the text came in, they asked Georgia S if she was nervous. And my girl actually said, I am upfront and honest and always tell the truth. I am surprised Georgia S didn't burn up in flames at that statement. Like, seriously, didn't be gone sort of thing. Because the lie she just told then is beyond me. And this is what makes me think that this girl probably shows a little bit of narcissistic traits, because she don't see anything that she's done as wrong. She does not see at all. Even when camera footage has shown her being snake-alicious. And she still don't see it. She still don't see it. Because she really thinks she's a girl's girl and she's not. Hey ho. So it was all-star comedy moment. They showed when Chris literally mounted Arabella and kissed her. Anton falling in the pool after he kissed Georgia H. Toby, I think it was Toby, and because it was Kaz who was nominated, but they showed Toby and Arabella chatting after the recoupling. And Kaz was sat next to him, and all you see is Kaz just turned to them and said, this is just gonna be chaos. And then you hear Toby say, we a friendship couple or not, and then Kaz gets up and says bye. So the winner of that was Anton. Yes, he does his speech and all this, that and the other, makes it juicy, but we shall move on from there. There's Sneaky All-Star. First up was Sophie. But my thing is I don't think Sophie was actually being sneaky. It was the one where she was having pillow talk with Josh, and she was basically, they showed the clip where Georgia S what she said about Callum, and she didn't want to have sex with him. She went at that point, yeah. And then it showed her saying what she said to Josh, and her saying, please don't share that with anyone else. It put the blast in a roundabout way on Georgia S, because she said it in bold italics, I shall say. She cannot imagine having sex with Callum. But she didn't say that to Callum, because when Josh did tell her what Sophie had said to her, and Callum spoke about this to Georgia S denied it. She had a whole fucking explanation for him and she denied it, but now she can't deny it because it's come out in bold. The thing is no one pulled up Georgia S at all for the shit that she was saying to Sophie. Like, no one pulled her up at that point at all. Because this is going to be eye-opening for everybody in terms of how people have behaved before bombshells had come into the island actually at the end of the day, or into the villa, I should say. So then the next one is Georgia S, and it's her conversation with Tom, where they're playing the truth or dare by themselves, and he goes to her, would you rather be with Callum or me? And she did her answer, and I was just like, and there it is. There it is, my people, on how slicky Georgia S was. And then Callum shouts across, I thought you were loyal, babe. Molly feels embarrassed by it all at the end of the day. And Molly is like Callum in that sense, where she doesn't take things lightly either. And she is as well looking for something serious, as she was with Callum in that sense. And basically, you see Molly just cuss out Tom. Tom looks nervous as fuck that came out. Looks hella nervous as fuck. And you see Molly cuss out Tom and basically say how much of a liar is. And I'm just like, I'm so glad this is aired. I'm so glad it's aired, because people can't be comfortable in their lives no more. Their character is being shown. So Callum starts to pull up Georgia S, and then Georgia S is like, we'll talk about it later, we'll talk about it later. Then that's when Toby jumps in trying to defend her. And then Georgia S has the audacity to talk about respect. If you respected me, you would wait until... No. I says, no, my love, you ain't Aretha Franklin. You're not Aretha Franklin. After the shit Georgia S pulled, she deserved no respect. She did not deserve the respect that she was asking for from Callum at the end of the day. And Callum shot back. You've had no respect for me since you left that hideaway door. So don't come at me with respect. If you had any respect, you wouldn't say the things that you said. Simple as that. And I'm like, because Callum, you're realising now that it's being splayed in front of your face that this girl played a game with you. This girl is a hella of an emotional manipulator. She manipulates people, like really manipulates people. But gaslighting is when she tries to tell people they ain't seen what they saw. They have not seen what they saw. And then acts like she don't get it. And that's why I'm saying she can't be that dense. She really can't. Anyhow. So Toby again tries to defend her. And another girl pipes up about Georgia S speaking to him later. And I'm like, no, stop protecting this girl. Callum has every right to call her ass out right now, because the shit that she said to Callum and the shit that went on behind his back are two completely separate entities. Completely separate entities, because she was acting one way with Callum and one way behind his back. Yeah, and now he's finding out exactly what the fuck she was playing at. That shit's gonna hurt. That shit is gonna hurt, because it's making him look like a fool. It's making him look like a dickhead. So yes, Callum is within his right to literally have it out with this girl. So no, I'm not gonna wait until later. At the end of the day, Georgia S didn't give him no grace and tell him the truth. She didn't tell him the truth at all of what the hell she was doing, did she? So why then should he give grace for them to talk about it later? She had ample chance to say what she needed to say to Callum. Now wait to this now to say what she needs to Callum now, later on. No, you get it out now. We've just seen it. Explain yourself. There it is, pure and simple, because all people are watching is the hurtness of Callum, and that's not what they're realising. They're not realising that Callum is hurt. He's hurt, and he's expressing his hurt. I like the fact that Sophie did come up and say, this is about Callum and Georgia S. And I'm like, yes, Toby, so shut up. Shut up. Shut up. It has nothing to do with you. And Callum is right on that point. It has nothing to do with Toby. This is between him and Georgia S and the bullshit that she did. And all and now she's still sat there trying to spin the shit that people were watching to a positive narrative, to her narrative, for people to believe, yeah, while we were watching what she was doing. It, like, literally beggars belief. Beggars belief. Onto All Stars, basically. So Chris was on with the staring gaze with Molly. George H with Anton, and talking about how she believed that the intellectual conversation and stuff like that with Josh was missing, and that's why she wanted to pick Anton. And Josh took offence to that. Of course Josh would take offence to that, because Josh don't like to hear anything bad said about himself or in a negative about himself at the end of the day, because he believes that he is God's gift. Georgia S then comes on, and it's the hideaway that they show. And all I can say is Georgia S did Callum dirty. Even watching it back, after what we know now, she did that man dirty. And all again after that show, and she has an explanation for her piss poor behaviour. And I'm just like, my girl, stop. Georgia S, just stop now. Like, seriously, stop now. She is her own PR firm, isn't she? She is her own PR firm, because she's just trying to spin this shit like it's a wheel going down the road without a motor. That's how she's trying to spin this shit. And I'm just like, but it's the shit that she's saying that is so confusing that even people are sitting there, they're listening to what she's saying, and they're like, what? They're looking at each other as if to say, does she not hear herself and how she talks and what she says before she says it? Like, does she really not listen to what she's saying? Because everything that was coming out of that girl's mouth was absolute and utter gutter tripe. Like, absolute gutter tripe, man. Like, seriously. Salty all-star. You got Molly when she was having that conversation at the vibe party with Georgia S. Georgia S didn't have mouth for Molly when Molly spoke up. She was silent. She was silent. And some of the lads, including Callum, put their hands up and seconded what Molly said. And straight away, Georgia S got mouth for Callum, but not for Molly. And Callum then banged her back to rights when he said it's in black and white. The truth's there. It's in the pudding, the Yorkshire pudding, and everybody laughed. And it was at that point that Georgia S started to look a little bit uncomfortable. She didn't look as confident as when she first started out to backtrack her shit. So then she looks over to Molly, but Molly has her head down messing with her eyelashes. Because I'm like, you ain't going to get no empathy from that corner, Miss GS. Like, seriously, not going to get no empathy. And if I was the girls, I'd be watching this shit very, very carefully. And I'll be absolutely wary of the person called Georgia S at the end of the day, because she's going to land herself on an island on her own. And if I was Toby, I'd be quite wary in regards to the behaviours of Georgia S. But he's already laid that foundation. He's going to have to stick with that shit now. Georgia S can't see the wood through the trees. She really can't. And now all the shit that she spilled, all the shit that she done is having consequences, isn't it? It's look at that. Consequences of her actions is what this is. And she says she's them moaning to the girls saying it's embarrassing, and Callum keeps adding fuel to the fire about why is he doing that. Why is Callum doing that? I swear down, if these girls don't pull this girl to task and tell her exactly where she's gone wrong, I don't know what else to say. Like, seriously don't know what else to say, because I don't know how anybody, excluding fucking Toby, I suppose, could defend the shit that she did. Like, seriously defend the shit that she did. She caused harm to people. Like, seriously, she did with her behaviour. She did cause harm to people, but she don't get it. She doesn't get it in the slightest. And then it moves to Toby, basically. And it started with Toby's clip in regards to what he said about Georgia S and the fact that he could get it on the outside, basically, is what he said. So Callum did get that right when he was telling Georgia S that. And then it moved to the argument between Toby and Callum at that point. So again, after that, Georgia S makes it about herself, saying that she was disappointed in Toby doing that. And even Toby looked shocked, as if saying, what? Like, what? And then people again start talking up for, stop talking up for Georgia S, man. Stop. Now she was trying to say that Callum had her back. And I'm like, damn, this girl can flip-flop like a motherfucking good one. This girl can flip-flop like a good one. And everybody was baffled, absolutely baffled by what the hell she was saying. Even the girls were looking as if to say, my girl, are you all right? No, she's not okay. She's not. She is not okay. Callum said basically he's been nothing but honest with her. Georgia S says she's been honest. And he said, what? It was like, what? Everyone... I was like, where? No, where? Seriously, honestly, where has Georgia S been honest? So then she comes off with she will say things in the moment. And I'm just like, and within that moment, she's honest. What about the rest of the time, my love? Like, seriously, what about the... You can't do that. You can't say that. And even Callum said, am I dreaming? I said, no, you're in a nightmare. You're in an absolute nightmare, and it's not going to get any better from here on out for you. I'm sorry, it really isn't. And she really tried to convince people they didn't see or hear what they heard. Like, see, and she ends up from this completely fucking baffled as to why people didn't believe the shit that she was saying. Like, completely baffled. I can't even go on to the rest of the fucking all-star shit. Oh, we know that Josh and Sophie had a set to, because basically it shows the clips of where Josh was saying to Sophie that he's found his future wife. Then the clips of the fact that he was having these conversations with Joanna. And then that's when Sophie turned around and called him out on his behaviour and what he'd said to her, to what she'd relayed to Joanna, to now he relayed something completely different. And Josh was not accepting responsibility for that at first, but then realised, hold on, I must do. And he did hold his hands up and he said, I apologise, because he tried to call Sophie a liar when Sophie was not being a liar. Sophie was telling the truth of what Josh was saying. And this is what I mean. I don't understand why you like put your all into these people. Like, seriously, they ain't showing you any different in their behaviour. So why the fuck are you literally closing yourself off to someone who hasn't given you that same thought, won't give you that same thought at the end of the day, and goes back on his word? Like, really? So I think Sophie says she's done with that now too, but we'll see what happens after that. And this is where they showed the clip of where she spoke to Toby before the recoupling and how she was talking to him. So now you get an idea of where Toby got his thought process in which to make the decision that he made. When I said in my last episode she had a little bit to do with it, she did. She really did. Georgia S then saying to Toby that you can't compare for a week for what me and you have in terms of the history between them, and that Callum wouldn't compare to that history ever. And then it shut and everybody was just silent, and even Arabella just went, wow. I said, yes my dear, now you know the full gravity of who Georgia S is and what she does. Now you know the full gravity. And even Callum had to ask her if it was just one big game. And I'm like, this girl sat there smiling like a motherfucker. Like, she had no upsetness. No, this girl was sat there smiling. This girl was sat there literally smiling. Of course she's not taking this shit seriously. Of course she's not. Oh. Nah, man. And then as the night continues, everybody's calling Georgia S out at the end of the day. Georgia S then tries to bring a scenario where in Callum's season he'd brought someone back from Casa Amor and hurt Molly, and Molly rightfully so pointed out, but we'd had a relationship for 3 years after that. You cannot compare my relationship with your 2-bit wonder one with Toby. You can't do that. And she can't. Georgia S can't do that because she doesn't have that history with Toby in the slightest. So it don't compare to what Molly and Callum had. And she didn't get it. She didn't get why they were so angry, and why Molly definitely was so angry and upset, because she stepped back and allowed you the space to get to know Callum, yeah, and potentially stopped any type of reunification between herself and Callum to allow you that time and space to get to know him, because you were getting on so well and you really liked him at that point. And now she feels like a fucking idiot because she stepped back and allowed that to happen. And that's why she was so angry and so upset. I'm just like, you know what? These people are so lucky up there, because I swear down, me and Georgia S would have been arguing, like hella arguing. And I would have said, like, you need to get out. I would have told her, you need to get out of my face. You need to do something. Because my girl sat there like she did nothing wrong. Like, everybody just told her what she was and who she was walked off to their own things after the awards had finished. She's then left there sitting at that table, smiling to herself. And this is what I mean. She don't take this shit seriously in the slightest. And she continues to be baffled why people are thinking this way. Oh. Someone needs to tell me, does this kind of slip into the traits of narcissism? Like, seriously, because I've never in my life seen anybody act the way that Georgia S acts. Like, seriously. And I swear down, if someone don't smack some sense upside this girl's head, I don't know what else to do, because some of these people are too busy fucking covering for this girl's ass, and I don't know why. I really don't know why. Anyway, that is where I'm going to leave it. But I will be back with the next episode. As I always say, my renegades, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so when you know I'm on and doing videos. And I'll speak to you all again soon. Peace out.